I just want to give them a ton of credit. They played a great game. We weren't great, but it's also a sign of a really good team that can pull something like that out when you're not playing your best. And they're credit Jordy's doing a great job. They are, they're obviously exceeding expectations. So just wanted to get that out there.
Dan.
Fourth quarter, after you guys are down, I think it was 5 or 7, you go to a super small lineup that had not played together in a game this year. What led you to do that? What did you like from that?
Nothing was working. It was like we have to do something different. It's what we were doing was not working. We had to change something through Dean in there at the 5, and part of it was to give Evan a rest. Like he needed a blow. Everyone was like, keep him in, keep him. I'm like, we got to give him 2 minutes, So I really believe in that, giving guys a little blow so they can finish the game well, and it worked out. Ty was really good at the end of the game. I mean, 35-18. As much as we struggled in that third quarter, that was a heck of a comeback.
What did Brooklyn do to get you guys to play at their pace? Because they came into the night as one of the slowest teams in the league, and that's how the game played out.
They played like a FIBA team. Like I felt like I was in the Olympics. They slow the game down. They're extremely physical. They pressure the heck out of the ball, and it just slows your pace down. And it's tough to make a pass. It's every dribble they're on your dribble. They make it a rock fight. And we told the guys at halftime, this one, especially on a back-to-back, this is going to be a grind, and we finally pushed through at the end. But again, they played great.
Coach, obviously you mentioned a little bit about Ty Jerome. What kind of spark has he brought all season, but also?
Man, that in the lane off the right foot, that floater he hit, I thought that was I think the clock was going down too, right? Like we had nothing. I said, man, did I call a timeout? Like. Ty's been a playmaker. Like, you normally don't think of Ty in that, that vein. You think more of a connector, smart player, but he's making plays, and that's completely surprising to me. That was a hell of a finish, and we needed it.
That's on the offensive end.
Yeah.
Back-to-back stops on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And the shot clock.
And that's the other thing about Ty. You would think, well, we got to get him out at the end of the game. We're not big enough, and doesn't have a great reputation as a defender, but he's defending this year as well as he's ever defend. Well, probably in college he defended right at Virginia, Tony Bennett. He's been outstanding.
Spencer, you guys on this side, kind of jumping off of that. When you can send to the ball with either him and Jarrett or him and Evan, just how much pressure does that create for your defense? And then obviously it's been leading to a lot of fast break opportunities for you guys.
Say that again.
With Ty and the bigs, putting pressure on the ball with 2.
Yeah. No, it creates turnover. He's got great hands. Like he's even if he gets beat, he like pokes from behind, right? And then he's got that one, like when a guy's coming down really fast at him, he just dives in there and goes for the steal. There was one guy in the league, Anthony Carter, I remember used to do that, play for the Nuggets. He would just like, guys coming at me, and I just dive through. He's got this like weird knack for for stealing the ball in an unusual way.
Jackson.
So you put the small lineup in midway through the fourth quarter, and then they give up 2 offensive rebounds that led to Nets baskets, and then you called a timeout right after. Was there any thought during that timeout that you would go back to a more traditional?
Yeah, that was the discussion in the timeouts. Like, are we big enough? We're going to better rebound. Claxton's out there, and we eventually did, get Evan back in the game, right? But I thought that little stretch gave us a little gave Evan a breather, but we knew we had to get him back in the game. He was phenomenal, by the way. I thought, I don't know, those 3 or 4 stops we needed at the end of the game, he got caught in a switch, and Cam tried to, shoot it over him. He's just too long. He had the big block on the last play. He rebounded the heck out of the ball. Obviously, he was outstanding.
So Karras was one of your, I guess, we played the 4 down the stretch.
Yeah.
What about his game allowed
We needed his speed, like, especially I said they were pressuring us. They were they're basically play a 4 guard lineup, so we kind of had to match that. We tried the two big lineup, probably too long, quite honestly, and at one point I said we can't keep doing this. We got to try to match their speed. That's why we went with Karras at the 4.
Coach, with some of the runs that the Nets went on, 15-0 in the third quarter, the double digits, do you think there was any carryover from last night when your team got outscored by 22 points in the second half?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I do think another bad third quarter. That's you're gonna say, man, you're 11-0, relax. But it's like if I was gonna be nitpicky, the third quarters are important. That's 2 nights in a row. A little bit of a concern. It's something we got to look at.
You mentioned just how much they were pressuring you guys. How did you think you guys handled some of those pressures? But I mean, they were like checking down Darius like right in front of you.
Oh, it was crazy. So we had 10 turnovers, and they caused those turnovers. I mean, with their pressure and their speed, and I felt like we could have had a big lead at the end of the half, and it was just our turnovers. 10 turnovers, just way too much. But I think you saw what we did at the end. We started putting Cam in the pick and roll, and Darius was masterful. He had the dish off to Evan, and he hit the pull up too. He kind of controlled the game at the end.
And then, how much is the streak something that you guys obviously aren't thinking like too far ahead? You're taking one game at a time, but how much is the streak sort of an extra source of motivation for you guys just to see how long?
Yeah, no. Now it's like, you're thinking about it. Like normally, this is 11 games in. You're not thinking about a streak but tonight, like, man, you don't. I'm thinking, I don't want it to end this way. You just. I don't know. Does that motivate you more to win? I mean, we're competing. We're trying to win every game, but it's kind of weirdly in the back of your mind when you're out there competing. Like, man, we got to keep this thing going. So we're gonna keep trying to do it.
Sam, Coach, you had mentioned Darius being masterful there at the end. I mean, last night, kind of when things got stagnant, he was kind of the go-to guy. Is this something you've seen since you guys checked into the gym in August or whenever? Or is it...
This is new to me. I don't have the background, with Darius. So this is, it doesn't surprise me because of the talent and the smarts and what a great passer he is and good decision man. He's got the shot. He's got everything. He's a complete point guard. And but I had heard there were some, maybe last year there was some, end of game. It didn't always, go great. But from my point of view, just, coaching him for the first time, I'm just blown away of his control of end of game situations. I think that's he's a smart dude. He is, timeouts. He'll find a subtlety that maybe other guys aren't thinking about. He's really. Or he'll suggest, hey, leave this guy in or take this guy out. He's got really great feel for the game, great IQ.
Last two, Nate and then Joe.
Hey Kenny, just curious for your perspective. How encouraging is it that you have this perennial all-star Donovan Mitchell, but you don't necessarily have to rely on him to kind of save you he played well obviously, but you know what I mean. It's more of a team. Collective effort. How encouraging is it that it's not so heavily reliant?
It's monumental because he's willing to share the spotlight. He's willing to be a decoy, and he was a decoy. Like at the end, a lot of times they're going to put the best player on him, right? And you don't want to bring his guy into it. You have to look for the best matchup, and that's kind of what we did tonight. And he's never complains about it. And we all know, there's other situations where guys they get labeled a superstar, and like, man, I have to, like, just for my whole ego and I have to be that guy. I have to have it at the end, and that doesn't that's not sustainable, and it doesn't, to me, that you don't win big that way. You can win, you win games, but that's part. I think that this is a big part of us taking the next step is him being able to step back and share the spotlight and encourage that. Like he's saying, yeah, don't put Darius and Ty in it. You know, it's just makes my job so much easier.
Last one, Joe.
Jared had 4 points overall, but you guys had 56 points in the paint. What does it say about a team that Jared could struggle and everybody else can pick him up?
Yeah, I think Evan had a lot. Evan was going so well, and listen, in Jared's defense, you could argue he's been our best player. Like, I don't know, I see the plus minus stuff. Like that guy has been incredible. So, and that's what a really good team does. Like he's not at his top and top level, and we decided to make a shift, go smaller, and then really rely on Evan, who had it going. So, but Jay, he's all in. He was as happy as anybody in the locker room.